Okay, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I have to disclose that I'm a little bit rusty. This is my first in-person anything in a really long time. But it's really nice to have, faces. And for those who are eating their unmasked faces, it's really nice to see. So before we jump right in, I just wanted to put this up. So for any of you who have been to relationship goals before, a lot of the topics get a little bit dicey and they get a little bit controversial. We have a lot of back and forth sometimes. And so for those that are like happy to put their hands up and battle it out, let's do it because that's what I prefer. For those that are, just trying to keep it, calm or whatever, you're welcome to text anything in. This will be up the entire time and you can text them in. I'll check it periodically. And then we'll go from there. So when you text it in, I'm not sure if you guys have ever seen it. This is what it looks like. I texted in a response earlier, a test one earlier, but they just pop up here and then they just come in order of when they were received. So feel free at any point to text it in. This is the number 37607. So you can text it at any point. Okay. So for those who don't know me, I'm Sarah. This is my husband, Rami.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
We've been doing relationship goals for almost 5 years now. We do this series or a variation on this series twice a year, every year. So welcome back. All right. So we have a lot of things to get through today. So I'm going to be talking on like super speed because I tried to fit in as much as I could in this 6-week series since we haven't had it in a long time and we haven't been in person in a long time. So I'm going to be like on fast forward. So if I'm talking too fast, stop me. If I say something that sounds heretical, stop me. If I say something that you disagree with, stop me, okay? If you don't stop me, I'm just gonna keep going.
My job is actually, in life and everything else, to slow Sarah down. That's usually what I have to do, so I'll try to do that today.
It doesn't usually work. Okay, so why are we doing this? Why do we do relationship goals? Relationship goals is a series that is very, very, very close to my heart. The reason that we do relationship goals is because, in our communities, we're told like, oh, don't date. You're too early. You're too young. It's too young to date. You don't know what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. This is not sustainable. And then all of a sudden you get to whatever arbitrary threshold of age they say and bam, get married and have kids. And nobody has any idea how to do that. Nobody has any idea what you're supposed to do or what you're not supposed to do. And that can lead to unrealistic expectations because relationships are not intuitive. And the unrealistic expectations are the things that can damage a relationship unnecessarily. And it's sad if that happens because they're preventable if we had just talked about it. So the point for us here is to talk about it and to prevent the disappointment that comes with unmet expectations and the confusion that comes with unmet expectations.
And so, yes, thank you. So there are a few things that we want to talk about. So first, Sarah talked about disappointment and confusion. Frustration on both sides. So there's a lot of frustration that can come on both sides. And when there is frustration on both sides, that leads to both people feeling like they are not doing enough or not doing it right, and then both become distant, and then the relationship is doomed for failure. Also, when there is frustration and there is issues, that leads to trauma and baggage. And you get this trauma, you get baggage from previous relationships, you bring them into the next relationship, and unfortunately that you start off on a wrong foot, and that can lead to problems before you've even started.
My PowerPoint is backwards. All right. Anyways, so what we're going to do today is we're going to do kind of like a Mythbusters vibe. So we're going to take a stereotype or a myth, okay? We're going to look at it from the perspective of the movies. We're going to look at it from the perspective of our community, and we're going to talk about why it's a myth and why it's not true, okay? So myth number 1, it should just happen naturally. You're just going to meet somebody, you're going to click, you're going to be in the right place at the right time, you're going to be at some hipster coffee shop and bump into each other, and then, sparks will fly, and it will just happen naturally. You don't need anybody to set you up. You don't need anybody to weigh in or give you advice unless it's your, sidekick who, plays the token best friend role, and they're the ones that encourage you to go on a date if you don't want to, okay? It's just going to happen naturally. That's the movies, okay? In our church community, I don't do grad meetings. I don't do setups. I don't take suggestions from whoever, old people. I consider myself in the realm of old people now, so I don't take suggestions from old people. I don't do that. It's just going to happen naturally.
What is naturally really? Is it natural to attend a church function? Um, there is no such thing as the right place at the right time. The grad meetings are great. And no matter what position that you're in or where you meet each other, it doesn't really matter. I can tell you that we definitely did not have happen naturally beginning to our relationship, not by any stretch. And so, it is unnatural to attend church functions? Absolutely not.
So one of the things that kills me is when someone says, "Oh no, I'm not going to go to that. That has like a grad meeting vibe." Like, I understand, okay? I understand why you're saying that. I understand because there are some creepy folk and they kind of, they lurk around and it's a little creepy. I get that, okay? But what bothers me is I wish that there wasn't this concept of a grad meeting vibe. Like, I wish that stereotype didn't exist because grad meetings have great topics. Grad conventions have great topics. Like, there have been many places or functions that I have wanted to go to because they had fantastic topics and a great chill, but it has the grad meeting vibe, right? Like, that drives me crazy because you have to get out, you have to push your boundaries, and you have to be able to seek opportunity. And this grad meeting, whatever, like not this one specifically, but the concept in general is opportunity. Why is that unnatural? Why is that opportunity more unnatural than a coffee shop? If you're out there lurking at all the Starbucks in the GTA, like, lurking is lurking no matter where you're doing it, right? Like, challenge your preconceived notion of this concept of unnatural, right? The other thing that I want you to really think about is it unnatural to seek wise counsel? There is honestly nothing that we don't seek wise counsel about. Nothing. And if you are the kind of person who doesn't seek wise counsel, you're probably arrogant. Sorry, okay? Because if it's about your job situation, you'll talk to somebody who knows what they're talking about. If it's about your health, you'll talk to a physician who knows what they're talking about. If it's about whatever in your life, you will talk to somebody who has proven experience. Why is this any different? There is nothing in your life that is immune to seeking wise counsel, okay? But with that said, there is an asterisk, okay? Be wise about the wise counsel that you seek, okay? I'm gonna throw it out there that your cohort in your age group who has left a trail of broken relationships behind him, maybe not the wisest counsel, maybe, okay? I'm gonna hazard a guess, okay, that uncle and aunt who are turning 80 and they met in Egypt 700 years ago in a different time, maybe don't have the most relevant advice, okay? So be wise about the wise counsel that you seek. Make sure the people that you're going to for advice or for whatever, for their input, have proven credibility. The person who talked me down off the cliff when I was we hadn't started dating yet, but was about to start dating, or that's what we were talking about. She wasn't married yet. She wasn't in a relationship yet. She got married actually years after we got married, but she is solid. She's like my, Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. She's my Jerusalem. And she is solid. Like, whether it's about relationships, whether it's about spirituality, whether it's about whatever, she is solid. And so the person that I'm speaking to in terms of whether this is right or wrong has proven credibility in helping me figure out what's right versus what's wrong.
And so we don't want you, and we're not here to tell you who wise counsel is because we each had very different wise counsel. But like Sarah said, you should be aware of the people who you ask questions to, and oftentimes the first person that comes to mind when asking questions about relationships, like your friends or whatever, that are may not be the right person to talk to. It is unnatural to hear suggestions. Is it unnatural for someone to hear suggestions? Why does someone become less great because they're suggested? So we know very many people, a lot of people who, someone said, I know this person, they're really great, why don't you meet them? And the first reaction is always, no, I don't want to meet them, I don't want to be set up, I don't want to do this is weird. But there's no, that person that suggested that person really knows you and may have a good reason for suggesting that other person. Maybe they may fit, or maybe they have a similar lifestyle or similar background or whatever it may be. But there is a reason why they may have chosen that person. And, we shouldn't be arrogant to think that we know the way that we're going to be meeting our significant other. And God may have different paths for you to meet your specific person that he has chosen for you. And so, if someone suggests someone, keep an open mind.
The main point about this Mythbuster is that dating and relationships are hard. Okay? They're hard. It's not intuitive. You don't just fall into it the way they do in the movies. It's hard. And so don't be arrogant enough to think that you don't need help, because everybody needs help with this. There's no guidebook. There's no rule book that you can confer. So this is hard. If you need help, ask for it. If you're not sure, ask somebody. Don't be proud enough to think that you're doing it the wrong way if you need to figure something out or you need help figuring something out.
And everybody needs help in this step and every other step. So we were just in a 5-year and up marriage course, and it was full of people in our age bracket, and it's just a tune-up. And so everybody needs help in every single stage of their lives. And if we are, arrogant enough to think that we don't need help as parents or, in our stage, in our relationship, we would be fools. And similarly, in any stage in relationships, know that, there is wise counsel, and there are people that know a lot more than you do, or that I do, and will be able to help guide us.
All right. Stereotype number 2. All men. We are Apple folk. What happened here? Okay. All men are afraid of commitment and are interested in dating around and nothing more. And then in our community, we hear all the time, these guys just want domesticated women. They want these girls that can cook their moms, the macaroni bechamel and whatever. And they're intimidated by my independence. They're intimidated by my success. Okay, let's talk about it. Are afraid of commitment? True. Okay, true. Men are afraid of commitment if it's the wrong woman, the wrong place, the wrong time. 100%. And thank God that is true. Because if you are the wrong person for them, you want them to be afraid of committing to you. If this is the wrong time in their life and their circumstances don't allow, you want them to be afraid of committing to you. And if they are in the wrong place in their life, they don't have their act together, you want them to be afraid of committing to you. You don't want some Joe Schmo who's just going to be winging it through your marriage. So yeah, they are afraid of commitment if it's one of those 3, and thank God they are. And you always hear the classic example of the couple that was dating for 10 years and they were on and off for 10 years, blah, blah. They finally called it quits, and then bam, 8 months later, he's engaged. Why? Because that girl of 10 years was either the wrong girl, or it was the wrong place, or it was the wrong time. And the next one who came along happened to be right. Guy's not a jerk, okay? But he was afraid of committing for the wrong reasons. And thank God that that's true. Thank God that that's true. Are interested in dating around and nothing more? We're going to get back to this, okay? This, I really hope we make it to Myth 6, because this is such a sore spot for me, okay? So just park that anger, okay, till Myth 6, okay? Let's park it. It's coming.
All men want domesticated women. So,
oh, this is mine. No, I have to talk about this one. I have to talk about this one. I love you so much. I have to talk about this one, okay? Want domesticated women, okay? Let me explain something, okay? Men are attracted to the nurturing side of women, okay? They're not attracted to your specific manifestation of that nurturing, okay? So let me give you an example. When we got married, I was not domestic, okay? I am I'll tell you right now, I'm on mat leave, okay? I love my children so much. I hate mat leave. I hate it. Does it make me love my children less? I promise. No, the fact that I'm still on mat leave is a testament to how much I love my children, because I hate my life on mat leave. I hate being home. I hate washing dishes 1,000 times a day. I hate it. I just hate it. I want to go back to work. Take me back to work, please, God, okay? I am not wired for this life. I'm not. But does that mean that my manifestation of how I make Rami feel nurtured doesn't exist? No. Okay? It's not about my ability to cook and clean and make macaron bechamel. It's not about that. It's about how I make him feel nurtured, however that is. Okay? Rami's stress, when he's very stressed out, there are two things in the world that make him feel better. Go play basketball with his friends, McDonald's ice cream cone. That's it. Okay? That is how I make him feel nurtured. He's had a rough day. I will come home blasting the AC in my car with the ice cream cone in front of the AC so that it doesn't melt on my car, okay? Until I get home and get it to him. Makes him feel nurtured. It has nothing to do with my domestic abilities, but like it is easily seen in a domestic environment. And that's why people take that as an umbrella. Like, oh, she can cook and clean and whatever. Domestic, guys love that. No. She makes him feel nurtured by whatever it is she does, okay? And he responds to that. And it just so happens that her thing is cooking or whatever, okay? Guy likes to eat, whatever. It just so happens that that's her thing. But that doesn't mean that that's everybody's thing. They're not reacting to a specific task. They're reacting to how you make them feel. However you do that is up to you, okay? But it's a feeling and an environment that you create that they're responding to, not a specific task. Does that make sense? Sorry, I got a little heated about that.
You did, that's okay. All right. Intimidated by independent women. So that's not entirely true. So we men want to lead, but that does not mean that we are intimidated by women. So a good example would be first date. We went on a first date. I wanted to pay and, just for a meal. It's not because I am, all big in myself and I, I'm the man and I should pay. No, not at all. But I want to pay because I want to be a leader and I want to, show support. With that said, she didn't let me pay and I, backed off because it's the first date and don't want to be I didn't want to come off a bit too strong, but I want to lead, but that does not mean at all that in any way I'm taking away from her independence or from her strengths.
So I had just gave you a very bad example by grabbing the mic from Rami when I got heated up about the domestic thing. But essentially their desire to lead is not because you need them to, right? It's because they want to. And there's a very big difference, okay? And boys, there's a very big difference in your delivery of that. If you make her feel like you're doing it because she needs you to do it, you're out the door, friend. Nobody can live with that, okay? As opposed to you making her feel like you're doing it because you want to, which is in no way a reflection of her capabilities, okay? We don't live in the 1800s anymore, okay? You guys are equals, okay? You're like, I don't know who makes more money, but it's a toss-up because we don't live in the 1800s anymore, okay? And so this idea of them being intimidated by success is untrue. What they are intimidated by or what they are not attracted to is you robbing them of their opportunity to lead. Again, not because you need them to, but because they want to, okay?
If the girl is coming and tearing you down, for whatever reason, you don't feel like the leader anymore. And so if she's tearing you down and you don't feel like a leader, you're going to check out. As a guy, I'm going to check out, I'm done. So it is not, it's not that I want to be the alpha male and be above her. It's just I want to help and lead our relationship as a godly task that God has assigned to me.
So I'm not going to get into this now. We have a whole series on Abigail versus Jezebel, okay? So just look it up if you want to get into it. But you want to talk about like this idea of somebody being attracted to the nurturing side of a woman, okay? You read David and Abigail. David and Abigail is like Disney in the Bible, okay? Love story, okay? And he was about to make the biggest mistake of his life, okay? And she went in and made him feel like more. She made him feel like his potential was way more than what he was proposing, and that he is more and he could be more, and that she believed that he was more. And because of the way she made him feel, he aspired to become more. And he changed his mind about like the bad decision that he was about to make because of the way she made him feel. That is the nurturing side that guys are attracted to. He didn't see her cook. She never made him a meal, okay? They had a conversation. And in that conversation, she made him feel like he could be more than what he was proposing. And that's what he was attracted to, and then they got married, okay? You want to talk about what not to do, okay? Jezebel. This whole idea of guys being intimidated by independent women, wrong. Guys are not attracted to women who rob them of their opportunity to lead, the way Jezebel did, okay? Ahab had a little problem. She just swooped in, took over, like figured it out, fixed it the way she wanted to fix it, and gave him no opportunity to step up and be a man, okay? I always get asked the question of like, oh, is it wrong for a girl to ask a guy out? Is it wrong for a girl to plan all the dates? Is it wrong for a girl to be the one to initiate whatever conversations? The act in and of itself is not wrong, okay? Nobody cares if the girl asks the guy out or the guy asks the girl out. But what we caution you about, girls, is robbing him of his opportunity to lead. Maybe he wants to step up. Maybe he wants to be that for you. And in your impatience, you're robbing him of that opportunity to be the God-given leader that he's been called to be. And to be the God-given leader that you want him to be. Okay? So if you guys are in a good and stable place in your relationship, and that's fine and that's established, great. Nobody cares who asks who out. But if you're setting a precedent for your relationship, okay, you want to make sure that you're not, guys, giving up any opportunity that you have to lead because you're not showing her that you can handle like a relationship, and girls, that your impatience is not taking away opportunity for him to show you who he can be.
And the minute once the girl starts taking, control of the relationship and trying to push things forward, and if the guy's not ready, that will automatically turn off the guy. You will have a male that is not at all, a leader. And when they're not at all a leader, we're going to step back, and we step back, we kind of check out. And so, guys, we have to be leaders in relationships. And girls, sometimes early on, especially, you want things to move forward faster than the guy is, because guys, are slow and we don't know what we're doing. And that's all true. But if you start taking control too quickly, it will have significant negative consequences down the line.
And it also puts you into a really vicious circle because you've now set the precedent, however, whether it's the guy being passive or the girl being like, too controlling or whatever, that this is the way it's going to be. So now you'll never get from each other what you each need. Like girls, so I'll tell you, I didn't know that I needed this from Rami until I had it, okay? Like I think we're at a point where we can all acknowledge that we've been in other relationships except for the one that, ended in marriage. Like, are we over that? Everybody over that? We're good to talk about other relationships? Excellent. Okay. So I had been in relationships before where it wasn't like that. Okay. And I am a very overbearing person, right? Like this was a learning curve for me. Did you not see me rip the mic out of Rami's hand? Like I am very overbearing. Okay. So this whole concept of not robbing him of his opportunity to lead was a learning curve for me. But I didn't know that I needed that type of leadership or initiative until I met Rami, until I had it. I didn't know that that was something that I responded to or something that I craved until I had it. I didn't know. And similarly with Rami, you don't know that this is what you're wired to need. But he has given this need for girls like this, that they crave a leader, because it complements guys craving the nurturing side of women. Like we are wired the way we are to complement each other. So if you set yourselves off on the wrong foot, he will never get what he needs from the relationship, and you will never get what you need from the relationship. That's why we caution you not to be too haphazard about these questions that appear to be superficial. Okay? I'm just going to check and see if there's any questions, because that one sometimes gets a little dicey. Okay, no questions. I know that one gets a little dicey. We can definitely fight about it at the end, or if anybody's interested in fighting about it now, I'm always up for a good fight, okay? All right, so talked about the stereotypes of what all men are, okay? Now, all women are crazy. Okay, we'll get there.
Guys, don't say anything.
Yeah,
Shut your mouth. Move on.
Okay? Need to have the last word. Okay, we'll talk about it. And the church stereotype are too emotional or sensitive, and they love to gossip. Okay?
This is the easy one. One of Sarah's friends has the best quote that I love this quote. She says it all the time. She says, "Everybody's crazy. I'm not saying that women are not crazy, but I'm not saying men are not crazy either. We're all, crazy in our own ways. We all have things that just set us off that make no sense. We all have things that, that to the outsider looking in just doesn't make any sense at all. Some of us may show it a lot more than others, but in honesty, we all have these things and we're all a little crazy. It's not that women are crazy, it's that we're all crazy, and we just need to find the crazy that we can get along with."
Wisdom. That is wisdom, okay? I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, I've been doing this relationship stuff for years, okay? I mean, again, take what I say with a grain of salt, because whatever, who cares what I think? But every relationship issue that has ever been brought to me, ever, boils down to one of two things. Either the guy doesn't feel respected or the girl doesn't feel loved. That's it. I have yet to find one relationship issue that doesn't, at its root, boil down into that. When the guy doesn't feel respected, he feels like he needs to have the last word because she's not hearing him. And when the girl doesn't feel loved, she feels like she needs to have the last word because he's not hearing her. That's it. And that's also why, okay, guys are in the role, the God-given role of leaders, right? And that's why they need respect. And girls are in the nurturing side because we need to feel loved. That's how we're wired. It's all complementarianism. So this whole idea of needing to have the last word is actually more about the issue and about whether your need is being fulfilled rather than about your your gender, okay?
Church stereotype. So, all women are too emotional or sensitive. So, are women more emotional than me? Absolutely. So, I'm by far, not the bar of emotional understanding or, figuring out what other people are saying. And I'll give you a good example. So one of my best friends growing up was, we were attached at the hip. We went to the same school together. We hung out together. We did everything together. In addition to my twin brother, who I really did everything together with. But we were, really good friends. And my nickname for him was Mr. Fatso. Not because we're both, I was called Fat Twin growing up. Like, I'm not making fun of him. We just called him Fatso. That's what I called him. And Sarah heard that for the first time. I'm like, "Hey, Fatso, what's up?" She's like, "Who are you talking to?" I'm like, "My friend. What are you talking about?" And she just was appalled that I could call someone that. And that she's like, "That's going to bring him down. And, that's, he's not going to respond well to that." And she was right. I'm sure that every time I said it, he probably didn't love it. And that's not because I don't love him. It's because I am not as emotionally in tune with the words that I say as Sarah is. And I'm okay, I'm eager to admit that.
I just want to say that later on in life, he went on to join Orange Theory and launch this whole fitness thing. And I don't think it's unrelated. Okay. I don't, but whatever. Okay. That's fine. Rami and I will leave the same event and I'll walk out and be like, "Rami, what was that?" And he's like, What are we talking about? "You didn't see the awkwardness and those two people are obviously upset with you." He's like, "What are you talking about?"
I'll go to a work function. So I work in my office, and I see my secretaries every day. We chat quickly. There's the other people that work in the office too. And Sarah will probably see them once or twice a year at whatever Christmas function. And she'll go to the Christmas function and walk out and know more about my secretaries than I have ever known and will ever know. And that's not because I don't care. It's just that I don't know. She just connects with people, and she's more emotionally in tune than I am.
And everything that we're saying is a spectrum, okay? So there are going to be girls that are not at all emotionally sensitive and could use a debrief here and there. And there are going to be guys that, for a guy, are uber sensitive. But the general trajectory of each gender is that women are better able to navigate this, right? Like, that is why Abigail was able to change his entire approach and his entire perspective using words, because she was able to see him, gauge what's going on there emotionally, and reciprocate and respond appropriately. Girls are just better at it. That's how we're wired. That's why we are able to create a nurturing side that makes guys feel like they can be more, that they have the potential to be more. Like, we have the capacity to inspire them to lead because of the way we are emotionally sensitive and the way we can navigate emotions. So are women too emotional or too sensitive? Like, yeah, I guess, because we're just better at it. Like, this is how we're wired. Now, this idea of like, so just a like food for thought, okay? The frustration happens when you expect somebody to meet you where you are, okay? I don't expect Rami to emotionally navigate the way I do. And I can't be frustrated when he doesn't, because this is not how he's wired, okay? Similarly, Rami cannot expect to take me to a basketball court and meet him where he's at. Like, look at the size difference at baseline, right? You have to be able to anticipate the differences in your abilities and your gender, and then go from there. And a lot of the frustrations in relationship comes when people expect the other person to meet them at the same level that they're at. It's unrealistic, okay?
And this is not to give the guys excuses. Like, I'm not, I feel like we're trying, right now, we're giving the guys excuses. You guys have no idea what they're doing. We're not emotionally sensitive at all. We're just, give us a break. That's not what I'm saying at all. What we're saying is, there is a level what the guys is at, and the girl may have an expectation of him understanding something that he may not understand. With time, we will get better. We are, we learn, we adapt, we understand, just slower at it. But we will get better, and eventually I will understand I will be able to give Sarah the emotional support that she needs and understand her more. But that does not come naturally and does not come right away.
Now, this idea of women loving to gossip, okay? I will give you an example. So my take-home message is that women need to talk, okay? That's how we process. That's how we vent. Boys will disappear into whatever their cave is, okay? His is basketball, excellent. Somebody else's might be, I don't know, video games? Is that like in now? I'm not sure. Whatever, okay? Whatever is the boy cave. Good for you. Do your thing. Process the way you want to. Girls, we process by discussing, okay? I could be having a very bad day. I go with my best friend for one afternoon and I come back and I am refreshed, okay? Again, like I said, spectrum, okay? But in general, the general trajectory of how the genders are wired is this. For example, my 4-year-old daughter, okay, I will pick her up from school. So we have two rows in our car because we have way too many kids, okay? And so it used to be that the youngest are in the front and the oldest is in the back. My daughter's the oldest, okay? But my son and my daughter actually switched recently because Toby just wants to be left alone when he's in the car. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. He just wants to look out the window. He has specific songs that he wants Mama to play. Mama, play this. Okay, excellent. He just wants to sit in the back, look out the window. Mazeg. He doesn't want anyone to bother him, okay? He used to sit in the front, right behind me, and then he would be frustrated because I'm trying to talk to him because I want someone to talk to me, and he's just looking at me in annoyance, and Millie's in the back screaming, Mama, do you know what happened? And I can't hear her. She's screaming at the top of their lungs. So then these geniuses, they just switched. And now everybody's happy because Toby, I pick him up after school. He goes to sit in the back, zones out, does his guy thing, whatever, looks out the window. And Millie, Mama, do you know what happened? Did you see what happened today? Let me tell you about my project. Mile a minute. Because that is how we process things. Now, is that to say that women don't gossip? No. No. Okay? Women need to talk. Some women gossip. Okay? I can't be not upfront about the fact that yes, there's a lot of gossip that happens. Is that correct? No, not correct. okay? But is it tied to their, like, just because you need to talk, do you need to gossip? No, okay? But do they need to talk their own issues out? Yes.
And for the guy, this makes absolutely no sense because they go, they talk. Sometimes I'm hanging out with Sarah when she's hanging out with one of her friends and they're chatting it up. And I'm just watching this interaction. And there is no conclusion. There is no, solution to problems. There is nothing that has changed from the beginning to the end of the discussion. Yet they both feel better and they walk out and everyone's happy. That's fine. So, I have to just understand that I don't understand it and move on. And that's okay.
Right here is the progress, guys. This is what you're looking forward to, okay?
I didn't know that before.
In the beginning, they try to fix, and then after 9 years of marriage, they just accept. Excellent, okay? All right, myth number 4. This is how you're supposed to date, okay? I put up some really old school rom-coms. I'm dating myself here, but oh, you bump into the guy at the coffee shop, oh, you drop your whatever, he helps you pick it up, and then you bump noses, and then the sparks fly, and then he asks you out, and then the token best friend walks you through it, and then he shows up at your workplace with flowers. How did he know where you work? In a not stalkerish way, we don't know, but he did it, and it's adorable. This is how you're supposed to date, okay? In the Coptic community, okay, I'm not gonna show these videos. I usually show these videos, but I have so many things to get through. Is stuff Coptic guys say, stuff Coptic girls say. Go Google it. I think there's one of the stars is actually sitting in the audience somewhere. But anyways, we have these stereotypes about what your dating experience is supposed to look like. Okay, what the guy is supposed to do and what he's not supposed to do, what the girl's supposed to do, what she's not supposed to do, how she's supposed to look, games, the don't text until it's been 7 minutes and 53 seconds after he texted, and all this silliness, okay? This is silly, okay? There are no rules. There are no guidelines, okay? These movies are responding to your desire for fantasy because that's all they are, is fantasy, okay? How come he shows up at her work and it's not creepy, but you go to the crew meeting and this guy who's trying to talk to you is creepy? What's the difference, okay? There is no guidebook. There isn't, okay? There is romance in the Bible. Don't get me wrong, okay? David and Abigail, romance. Isaac and Rebecca, love at first sight, okay? Tobias and Sarah, read about it. It's a little twisted, but read about it, okay? Read about it. Ruth and Boaz, romance. Slept at his feet. How romantic, okay? It exists. But these are not examples that are extrapolatable to our current situation, okay? Someone was talking to us on the way here and is like, hey, are you guys going to talk about how people date using TikToks? I'm like, what? How? I need one of you guys to explain that to me after because I don't understand.
How relevant? I have no idea.
I don't know how you date using isn't it just videos? I'm not sure. Anyways, explain it to me after, okay? But needless to say, Ruth and Boaz are certainly not going to give you advice about how to date through TikToks. I would caution you against that in general, but anyways. But the Bible doesn't have black and white guidelines on how you're supposed to date, but it does have guidelines on the kind of person you're supposed to be, okay? It does have black and white guidelines about the kind of person that you're supposed to strive to be in order for you to be ready and able to have a relationship with him, and then that flows over into your relationships with other people, okay? Now the works of the flesh are evident. Adultery, don't want to date an adulterous guy. Fornication, obvious. Uncleanness, ew. Lewdness, idolatry, sorcery, hatred, contentions. I don't want to date anybody with any of these things, okay? So the directions are about fixing the kind of person that you are, and when you are a good enough person, that will flow over into your ability to have a relationship, right? And then this is what you're supposed to be. Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, kindness. I can tell you my husband is very long-suffering, okay? Goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. That's the kind of person that I want to date. I don't want to date this lewd idolater, right? So you may not, you can't find rules or guidelines about how you're supposed to date, but you can find guidelines about the kind of person that you're supposed to be.
I was just telling her that we have to, move a little bit faster. So again, the same examples that were before, David and Abigail and Ahab and Jezebel, as David and Abigail being a good example and David and Jezebel being a bad example. It would be I really think it would be interesting to read those stories if you're not read them before, if you don't know them, and to read them with this, frame of reference.
All right. That's just not my type. Okay? Too big, too small, too short, too tall, too fat, too thin. And then in church, too young or too old. Sore spot for me. Too Coptic or too not. Too fobby, too assimilated. Too white. I was trying to say white without being politically incorrect, but here I already said it. Okay? Here's my issue with type. Okay? I was the biggest not my type. Okay? Not my type. Okay? Oh, buddy. It took me... Exactly. Okay? It took me a very, very long time to agree to go out with him because not my type. Like, occupation, exactly what I didn't want. Church, absolutely not am I dating somebody from Mississauga. Like, everything about him was not my type.
Sarah was in conventions, she was leading the sucks rant. I don't know if you guys remember these, but there would be, when you go to these kids conventions, all these Mississauga, and then there's some other servant way back there looking at all the kids and just saying, sucks. And then the kids would yell it with her. That was Sarah.
This guy right here. So then this joker comes from Mississauga, and I'm like, are you kidding me? There's not a chance I'm going to date you, okay? The problem with having a type is that you put that person in a box, okay? I always say Rami was everything I didn't know that I wanted. Why? Because I limited him, okay? I took 2 or 3 characteristics that were not my type, and I put him under this umbrella of not my type, and I limited him. And I didn't give him a chance, until later, to show me all the things about him that were my type that I just didn't know. And part of that is arrogance, right? Part of that is thinking that you know exactly what you want, exactly what you need, and you know everything about this person before you ever gotten to know them. Part of that is arrogance. So I caution you about this idea of not my type, okay? Challenge yourself to make sure that the parts of this person that are not your type are deal breakers and not superficial, okay? A deal breaker is something that is based on like values and morals that you cannot live with if it never changes, okay? I am Coptic Orthodox. I will always go to the Coptic Orthodox Church. I cannot live with it if my spouse does not go with me. Deal breaker, okay? I do not want to go to Mississauga. Type. I'm not in Mississauga, I'm at SMSV. I just want to point that out, okay? But type bordering on deal breaker, okay? Like, make sure that there is not something superficial that is restricting you from figuring out if this person would actually be a good fit, okay?
So we all have, when we were dating and we were, we all had this idea in our mind of the person that we wanted to end up with. And I would caution you that that idea in your mind that you have come up with is probably holding you back from the person that God may have intended you to go with. And so, again, sit down with yourself and say, I have this idea that I want this person to be, X height, X age, X occupation, whatever it may be. And understand that those things, are limiting you and are not important, that they should decide who you end up being with, and that you're being held back from something great, potentially. Yeah, seek-wise counsel, that's right.
Okay. Ooh, sorry. I gave you a little preview. Okay. So this one also kills me. You have to know how you feel before you go on a date, okay? I always get this when someone's talking to me, usually a guy, blah, blah. Okay, boy X, why don't you just ask her out? Well, I don't know if I like her yet. I mean, how are you going to know if you don't go out on a date with her? You can't expect to be interested in this person and be in love with her before you ask her out on a date. That's the whole point of dating. Ask her out to see if you're going to have feelings for her. I would actually argue that if you have feelings for her prior to you going out with her alone for the first time, it's a little creepy. What's the basis of your feelings? This whole idea that you have to have feelings for somebody before you go out with them is so wrong, okay? And it stems from a time in our lives when people would get engaged to get to know each other to make it socially acceptable. Guys, we're past that, okay? I think we're past that, okay? You can ask somebody out on a date to see if you will develop feelings for them. And the assumption when somebody asks you out on a date is that nobody has feelings for anybody, okay? We're gonna try and figure this out right now to see if somebody's gonna develop feelings on one side or the other, okay? You do not have to be in love. I mean, you can be if you wanna be. It's a little creepy, but you can be. But you do not have to be in love before you ask somebody out, okay? Now, dating around. Please, can we talk about this, okay? This drives me crazy, okay? I'll hear from girls, oh, no. This guy asked me out, but I'm not gonna go out with him because he dates around. What is your definition of dates around? You know, he asked 4 girls out for coffee once. Okay? Like, did he get into a relationship with them and cheat on them? No, but he went out for coffee with 4 different girls. Not hearing the problem. Not hearing it, okay? This idea of dating around, you need to challenge what that is, okay? Because you need to challenge what is your definition of dating. If somebody asks you out for coffee for the first time, guy or girl, to figure out if there is a spark, you are not dating, okay? You went on a date, but you are not dating. You are not in a relationship because he asked you out for coffee once, twice. You're not dating, okay? And so if he's done that with 3 or 4 people, or she's done that with 3 or 4 people, nobody's dating around. Nobody's dating around, okay?
And the problem comes twofold. So first, the guy asks girl X to go for coffee. And the second is the girl, who says yes, may feel that this relationship has progressed way further than the guy. The guy's like, oh, I asked her for a coffee. I just, she looked pretty, whatever. I wanted to say hi. The girl's like, he's so perfect, we want to move on. She's planning things that are 10 steps down the road. And that becomes a huge problem very quickly.
So, in another talk, for another congregation, okay, we put together this algorithm. Take it with a grain of salt. That was mostly meant to be like a little bit of a joke, but not really. I'm only half joking, okay? This whole idea of what it means to be dating, okay? Follow the algorithm wherever you are. This is the guy's version. There's another girl's version, okay? So, have you had a conversation with her? No? You're a creeper. Make sure you talk to her before you ask her out for a date, okay? If you have, okay, was the conversation interesting enough that you want to have another one? Yes? Excellent. Ask her out. You're not engaged. You're not in a relationship. You're not dating. You're just going out for coffee. That's it. Girls, don't buy bridal magazines. Guys, don't freak out. You're just going out for coffee. This is not a big deal, okay? Did the date go well? Yes? Excellent. Before you leave, tell her you want to do this again. Don't play games. Oh, I'm not going to message her until 62 hours after the day, blah, blah, blah. Oh, she texted me. I don't want to look thirsty. I have to wait 8 minutes and 59 seconds, blah, blah. Hebel, I hate that stuff, okay? Don't do that. You had a good time? Tell her you had a good time. Tell her you want to do it again. Excellent, okay? You ask her out again. She says no? Okay, dust yourself off. On to the next one, habibi, no problem. You're not dating around because you're not in a relationship. It's fine. On to the next prospect, okay? If it did go well, okay, go out again and again and again. But there is an upper threshold for the again and again and again until the point at which you're in a relationship, okay? This is Sarah's rule, so take it with a grain of salt, okay? Nobody cares what I think, but this is what I think, okay? My ballpark rule, okay, is 5 good dates, asterisk, okay? After 5 good dates, you need to figure out if you want to be dating or not, okay? Before 5, you're not dating. You're just going on dates. You're not in a relationship. You're just going on dates, okay? After date 5, I don't know what the polite way to say this. Can we turn off the recording for 1 second? Have you guys ever heard that expression? I work in Orangeville. I shouldn't say it. Don't say it? Okay, Rami said don't say it. I'm not going to say it. Don't say it, okay? I work in Orangeville. It's they're rubbing off on me. It's very bad, okay? At the point of 5 good dates, you need to figure out what you're doing, okay? Because this is no longer going to continue to be casual, okay? Either you are not getting more interested in this person and you need to out the door, or You want to continue doing what you're doing because you're getting subsequently more excited to see this person, and you need to define the relationship. You need to DTR, okay? You need to tell this person that now I would like to be dating you. That is the point at which you are dating after you DTR, okay?
Important for the guys and the girls. So guys sometimes would like to continue this process longer than 5 dates, double, triple that, quadruple that, because you're in a comfortable position. You haven't done anything that is, you haven't put yourself out there. You haven't been rejected, and you're happy. Girls, on the other hand, these dates are probably killing them. Up to date 5, they're probably going crazy. Does he like me? Does he not like me? Do I want to? Like, what is going on? And so both of you have work to do here. Guys, you need to figure this out. You're not, again, date 5, you're not marrying them. Date 5, you're saying, I'm interested enough that I want to define the relationship. I want to move forward. I want to tell you that, I like you and I want to be exclusive with you. Girls, if at date 4, they haven't said anything yet, please don't pressure them into moving on too quickly, because I know in your mind, you may have already moved on 3, 4, 5 steps, and you're dating and you're thinking about weddings and and you're seeing this guy as a prospect to be married, while he, on the other hand, is trying to figure out if he wants to go on the next date with you. So guys, please, get moving, and girls, hold back.
And like Rami said, this right here, this 5 date rule, and again, asterisk, right? My thing is 5, but I think you're wrong if it's not 5, but whatever, okay? This is a crossroads for everybody, okay? So for the guy, you have the opportunity here to be a leader or to shy away from leadership, okay? Whether or not you like her, okay? If you're, forget just interested. All you need to do is say, I'm still interested. That's it. You're not subscribing to being in love with her, okay? But at the 5, you're more interested in talking to her than you were before the first date. That's it. That's where we're at, okay? But at this crossroads, if you like her, okay, you are either going to embrace your opportunity for leadership by initiating that conversation to DTR, okay? Or you're going to shy away from your opportunity to lead and wait for her to initiate it.
And if you drag this out too long, she will eventually go crazy. And we've said girls are not crazy, but she's going to lose it. And she's going to, be very impatient, rightfully so, and say, I need to know where this is going. And then we'll overstep, and then we'll overstep, and then you'll take a step back, and then you're doomed before, even if this had a chance, you're now 2 steps back.
And you don't want to have made her ask you the question of, so, what is this? What are we? Because then you didn't act fast enough. Maybe she's crazy and she did it on date 1. She's crazy, okay?
That's a red flag.
That's a red flag, okay? But if it's date 5 and forward, okay, and now she's having to ask you, so what are we? You didn't do your job. You didn't lead. And similarly, girls, okay, repress the urge to ask him, so what are we? Okay? Just wait, okay? Because you are also at a crossroads after date 5, asterisk, okay? In that if you want to continue seeing him, okay, you're sitting now you're itching to figure out what this is. He has the conversation with you, excellent. You did not rob him of his opportunity to lead, okay? And it worked out the way he wanted it to. Or he didn't do it. And now it's date 6, date 7, date 8. Now you need to ask yourself, is this a leader? Is this somebody who has enough initiative to be able to be in a mature relationship? Or does he like me? Because maybe he doesn't, then you need to hit the road before he tells you, right? So you're also at a crossroads. So this 5-date rule, this asterisk, is actually a learning exercise for both of you, okay? Embrace the opportunity. Embrace, okay? Okay, 9:22, okay. Now, girls, this is the girls' version of it, okay? Have you have a conversation with him? No? Have one. Nobody thinks you're thirsty, okay? Go for it, okay? Now, in the guys' one, it was ask her out. In the girls' one, okay, look, like I said, I'm not opposed to the idea of a girl asking a guy out. What I'm opposed to is girls robbing guys of their opportunity to lead. So you do with that what you want, okay? But my main question for you is if he hasn't asked you out, have you given him a reason to ask you out? Or are you cold as ice when you see him at the grad meetings? Okay? You're like hopelessly in love with this guy, and he comes talk to you, and you're running in the other direction when you see him. Habibti, what is he gonna ask you out based on? Okay? Nobody wants to date somebody cold as ice. Okay? Be receptive. Have a conversation. You know, flirt a little bit. It's fine. It's fine. We're adults. It was good. This is not 1920 anymore in Egypt. Okay? It's okay. Give him a reason to think that you might be interested. Okay? Entertain conversation. Be a sparkling conversationalist. Excellent. Okay? Pique his interest.
Guys don't want to ask someone out if they think that they're going to get rejected. Like if that person there looks like there's zero interest, even though they may be, you're not going to ask them out because you don't want to hear no. Like.
And similarly, okay, if the date goes well, follow the algorithm. I'm skipping steps. Okay. If it goes well and he tells you he had a great time, he wants to do this again, say, me too. That's it. You're not thirsty. It's okay. Okay? Nobody thinks that you're like coming on too strong if you say, me too. Same. Had a great time. Excellent. Nobody's engaged. Relax. Okay? This is supposed to be fun. Okay? So make sure that you are transparent about where you're at. And again, don't ignore the crossroads at 5 date asterisk. Okay? All right. We have to move quickly. I could talk about this for 6 hours. You can tell, I'm sure. Okay? Okay, myth 6. You have to have it figured out, okay? I hate this. Girls, I'm talking to you. I try not to say girls, I'm talking to you, boys, I'm talking to you, but girls, right now, I'm talking to you, okay? If I have to tell him, it doesn't count. Ya Rab. How's he supposed to know, okay? How's he supposed to know? How's he supposed to know?
How am I supposed to know? Like, come on. I have no idea. Like, she has to tell me things. She tells me, I feel the specific way when you do this. I had no idea. Like, I didn't know, it's not that I don't care or I'm not trying. I just had no idea. And if she never told me, I would have never found out. And I have a bazillion examples of that, sadly enough.
Everybody's definition of romance is different, okay? In dating, okay, you learn each other's definition of romance, okay? When I went out with Rami on date number 2, nobody knew that his romantic thing is a McDonald's ice cream cone. That's not even intuitive, okay? How can anybody predict that? But because he told me, now I can do it. Similarly, girls, if you don't tell him, he's not going to read your mind. And then you're not going to get what you want. Oh, he's a jerk. He never does anything romantic for me. Maybe the poor guy thinks he's doing something romantic, but you never told him what you think is romantic.
And this is very common, right? Like, we all have different ways of showing love and accepting love. And that may come up in the future. But essentially, my love language and Sarah's love language are very different. So I may be doing all this stuff to try to make her feel loved, but that's how I understand it. And she's looking at me like, I don't care about any of these things. Similarly, so Sarah's love language is
Gifts.
That's right. So I don't care at all about gifts. And Sarah gets me something, if it's, it's not as important to me at all. So if Sarah gets me something and we haven't emotionally connected, then, it doesn't mean anything to me. So, I may have been trying, but if I was trying the wrong way, then she's not going to be receptive to it.
Be clear, okay? And similarly, boys, listen, okay? Early on in the relationship, when we were first figuring this kind of stuff out, I learned, not actually early, very late in our relationship, I learned that Rami has a running note on his iPhone, okay? And every time I mention something that I would want or that I mentioned whatever, he writes it down, okay? And one of my friends, not really my friend anymore, once asked me, don't you think that that's not romantic? Isn't that kind of cheating? What do you mean? That's the best thing ever. Every time I say something, the guy writes it down. That's the most romantic thing ever. Tahmara? Are you kidding me? Of course, that's amazing. No matter what I say, it's being written somewhere. It's excellent, okay?
And I don't have a good memory, and I do write it down because I don't want to forget. And she's going to tell me something that I really would never click again. Example, these earrings, or this bracelet, or this shoe, or something, or this dress. All the dresses... all the dresses look similar to me. So if she says this specific dress is the one that she likes, great. I'm going to try to remember that.
And it goes both ways. Like, we're joking about, like, guys, make sure you're listening, and girls, like, make sure you're talking, okay? But it goes both ways, right? Like, the point here is that you can't expect to start dating and to know exactly the right thing to do for the other person when you don't know them well enough yet. Like, you can't expect to show up at a relationship and be whole and be perfect at doing this and to know exactly what the right thing to do is. You have to anticipate that you're going to make mistakes and the other person is going to make mistakes, and that this is a learning curve. And the goal here is to try and help each other learn each other, okay? And like to ride that curve together. What you're looking for here is not their ability to show up and do all the right things. What you're looking for is their willingness to learn what to do and what not to do. That's specific to you. Okay, we're flying through now, okay? You'll be happier once you get married. I talk too much, okay? Very briefly, okay? Singledom is not a problem, and marriage is not the solution, okay? I'm going to say that again. Singledom is not a problem, and therefore marriage is not a solution. If you're a miserable person when you're single, you're going to be miserable when you're married, okay? If you're negative about everything when you're single, that negativity is not going away because the problem is not your situation. The problem is you, okay? So fix your whatever, because marriage is not going to fix that for you. And if you look at Psalm 1, verse 1, okay, actually the Hebrew translation for that word blessed is happiness, okay? And if you look at every single like manifestation of that happiness, none of it is contingent on another person. None of it is contingent on a relationship. What does that tell you? That if you're negative and you got a problem with your life, that problem is you. And don't expect to get into a relationship and to have that fixed, because it's not going to happen. It's actually just going to get worse. Okay. This is the last one.
Oh, perfect.
All right. We made it. 9:30, we made it. Okay. Last one. Okay? I hate this one. As long as we love each other, nothing else matters. I don't know if you guys don't know me, but I'm not about this like feelingsy business. This stuff drives me crazy, okay? We'll figure it out. Love conquers all. Follow your heart. Have al-fa'abat. And then in the Coptic community, we like to baptize everything, right? Like every time that there's a situation and we want it to go a certain way, we throw a Bible verse at it out of context. Like, the greatest of these is love. So I never have to talk about the fact that he doesn't have a job and has no money because we love each other. No, it's tahmara, right? So here, this verse took me through like my whole university career, okay? If our heart condemns us, God is greater than our heart and knows all things. Your heart will condemn you, okay? You cannot ignore logic. You cannot, okay? I don't care how you feel about this person. You cannot ignore logic. Just because you love each other, and I would hazard, like I would caution you against using that word way too early, okay? Just because you may feel strongly about somebody doesn't mean that you don't talk about moral convictions or differences in your faith or like, how are you going to live? How are you going to like financially survive? Who's going to buy the groceries? Like if you have no money, no job, and no prospects on the horizon, how are you going to eat? Love doesn't conquer bills, guys. It doesn't, okay? So you can't ignore logic just because we love each other and nothing else matters, okay? And I would very, very strongly caution you against not having some of these logical conversations up front, okay? Because you, again, have to assess whether this is a deal breaker or a type, okay? The guy's a bum on the street and has no plans to get educated or get a job, deal breaker, okay?
The word love is used too broadly and is used to, cover up problems. But I love you. And so, that unfortunately that causes a lot of problems, quickly. Like Sarah said, love is actions. And if this person, the more when you get married or move on in a relationship, there are real problems that you have to deal with. Some are, whatever they may be, they're real. And so if you don't learn to deal with those problems and you just, glaze them over with, but I love you, and want to just push things forward in a relationship when, they may not need to be pushed, then you will end up with more problems down the line.
So I just want you guys to remember that marriage is the sacrament, okay? Dating, not a sacrament, friends, okay? Engagement, not really a sacrament either, okay? Marriage is the sacrament. And God joins the two of you and you become a union at the point of marriage, okay? Before marriage, you have a lot of legwork that you have to do, okay? You have a lot of work that you guys have to do. And you cannot just be like, oh, God will take care of it, but I'm going to sit on my butt and not do any work, okay? Relationships are work. And you can't ignore the work that you have to do in order to figure out if this is the relationship that God wants for you, okay? Because when you're passive and you're not doing your job, he's not going to sit there and do it for you, okay? Okay. I wanted to give you guys the example of Exodus 14:15, but it's 9:33, and I cannot believe that we're only 3 minutes over time. Excellent. Tooting my own horn. Does anybody know the story? So, God has done, like, in this, I want you to read the whole thing, okay? Like, I'm just taking it, like, out of context because we're, like, so out of time, okay? But essentially, God has done the most amazing things for these people. He's paved the way. He's, like, opened up everything, and he's telling them, go! Like, I have set the stage for you, go! And the Israelites are standing, like, in front of the miracles that he's done, crying, saying, God's not helping us. What does God want us to do? And then God says to Moses, why are you crying to me? Tell the Israelites to move. Like, just move. Just go. Okay? And for me, this is like the perfect verse for relationships. Okay? You cannot sit there and expect God to just do everything for you and then take your feet and push it forward and make you take a step. Okay? If he's put somebody in front of you that you're interested in, he's given you opportunity, he's given you everything, and you're sitting there crying, oh God, why haven't you done anything for me? Move! Go! Ask somebody out. Show that you're interested, whatever it is. But you can't neglect your responsibility and the hard work that you have to do in this relationship or in this potential relationship. Because it's never going to become anything but potential if you don't move. Okay? All right. 5 minutes over time. Excellent. I'm going to open up the questions. Nothing. Interesting.
You can also just ask questions.
All right. Oh, we got one? Yeah. Excellent. They're flowing through. Okay, let's go one at a time. Why can't women ask guys out for a change? So we talked about this a little bit in the beginning, okay? I'm going to say, if this is coming from a guy, okay, come and talk to me later, because you have the potential of sliding into a very passive approach, and I want to talk to you about that, okay? If this is coming from a girl, okay, we talked about this a little bit earlier. The act of a girl asking a guy out is not wrong, okay? What we're cautioning you against is robbing the guy of an opportunity to lead. If you are in a well-established relationship, okay, like right now, Rami and I have been married for 9 years, okay? I trust his leadership implicitly. There is nowhere that Rami will lead me that I won't go, okay? 100%. If I ask him out, nobody is under any misconceptions about the roles in this marriage because we know each other, okay? But the concern is that you don't know this person and this person doesn't know you, right? So you want to make sure that in the context of not being in an established understanding, that you're not robbing him of an opportunity to lead that he wants. And if he doesn't want it, you want to know that too, right? Because maybe, right? Again, but if this question is from a guy, come and talk to me later, because you don't want to be passive, friend. Not attractive. I actually think I know exactly who asked that question, but I'm not going to look. Okay. Part of the reason why some men and women are discouraged to date people from church meetings is the fact that if it doesn't work out, then it will be awkward to continue seeing the same people again in meetings, and it may create some tension and drama. I know there's going to be a session on breakups, but what advice can you provide for this problem?
I mean, you can also, so this situation is going to happen in every single step in your life. You can say whatever people I've dated before I met Sarah and we got married, or similarly, the people that Sarah's dated before we got married, you know, we see them all in social circumstances. We're friends with them. We, you know, you moved on. We're all adults here, and we're, you know, it doesn't matter. You're the one that's making it awkward. If you if it is awkward in your mind, it's going to be awkward, and you're going to make it a bigger deal than what it is. If it's not awkward in your mind, just ignore it. It's normal. Every single person at some point in time is going to date multiple people before they find the right person. Likely, I'm not, And so if you're the one that's making it awkward or you feel awkward, then, it's going to be awkward. If you just move on and say, we're all adults here, we're going to date because we're trying to find the right person that God wants us to end up with, and there's going to be a bunch of failures before you find one success.
So the session that we have on baggage and breakups, people always ask me, why do you do that in a relationship series? Because this is my favorite service, okay? I don't tell the other people that, but this is my favorite one because this one is 100% success rate, okay? Either we set everybody up with the ability to have a fantastic, meaningful relationship, they end up getting married, stars and lovely roses and whatever, excellent, or people break up and a divorce averted, excellent, 100% success rate, okay? The baggage and breakups one, okay, is part of our pursuit of that 100% success rate. Because if you've broken up with somebody, okay, for good reason, thank God. Thank God that you did not pursue a relationship that was wrong. And all you are accountable for is that you didn't do anything wrong. And maybe you did. Take accountability for it and move on. That's fine. Okay? But all you can control is whether you are doing right or doing wrong. And if you're doing the right thing, it doesn't matter if somebody's dramatic or somebody's whatever. Who cares? Because you didn't do anything wrong and you can't be faulted for it. Okay? Moving on. You'll be surprised nowadays how many men are upfront with being emotional and more into commitment than women. True. Many women are too hesitant to get into relationships or even dates, and if they do, they take too long to figure out their feelings about their potential partner. What can we do about this? Okay. Again, what I'm going to say, take it with a grain of salt. Okay? This is the dogma according to Sarah. Nobody cares what I think. I'm just going to share what my opinion is. Okay? The way guys are wired is different than the way girls are wired. Okay? So, in my opinion, sometimes it is a little bit preferable for the guy to be more into it at the beginning than the girl. I'll tell you why, okay? Because once the girl is into it, she's like 120 kilometers an hour, okay? And like, he likes her and he's interested and he's whatever, and she's like, oh, not into it, whatever. And then she starts creeping closer to liking him. Once she likes him, bam! She's like full steam ahead, okay? Wedding magazines and bridesmaids colors and blah, 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 okay? And so in order for you guys to like equal out your timeline, sometimes it's preferable for the girl to be slower to start. Because once she's in, she's going way faster than you, right? So I don't think that this is like not an ideal situation, okay? What I am gonna say is that guys, your role and your responsibility is to lead, okay? And all you can do is what you are like called to do, okay? So if you're transparent, you're upfront about what this is, you're taking the initiative. If you're willing to like keep going until she catches up, excellent, okay? Because you're doing all the right things. What I would ask of the girls is transparency, okay? If it's now been like date 5 and you're still not ready to DTR because you're not sure if you're feeling this, that's fine, but be transparent with him, okay? And give him the opportunity to decide if he wants to stick it out or not. And that's up to him.
And the other part of this is, it said, women are too hesitant to get into relationships or even date. What I would say is that, God works with you when you are uncomfortable. And so the times that I've seen God clearest in my life is when I am in a situation where I'm uncomfortable, I don't know what I'm doing, and I, leave it to him. And part of this is in relationships. The girl is going to be, may have had her heart broken multiple times, and so does not want to be vulnerable again and go out just to feel like I'm going to get my heart broken again. And that's completely understandable. But the only way that you will have a fulfilling relationship in the future is unfortunately putting yourself out there and giving God a chance to work. Similarly for the guy, so guys might be saying many guys are upfront about being emotional or more committed than women. that's great. If that's the situation, that's fantastic. Guys, in some ways, have a little checklist in their mind. And so, they may have said, I don't want to get into a relationship or a serious relationship until I have X, Y, and Z figured out. I'm in a job. And then sometimes when a guy is in that spot, they feel like, okay, I've done all these things. Now I need to find a girl. And girls are similar the same way. But, the guy might not be as, if he gets hurt, he may move on faster, may not.
And the other thing I just want to point out for that last question, then we're going to move on, is they take too long to figure out their feelings about their potential partner, okay? Just remember what the assumption is at the point at which you're asking somebody out on a date, girls and guys, okay? You're going on a date. Nobody has any feelings for anybody, okay? There is no figuring out of anything on date one, okay? If you are absent of feelings, that is not abnormal because you don't know this person, okay? So just make sure that you check yourself at every point to make sure that you're going into this with the right impression. So like, guys, it's unlikely that you're in love with the girl before you ask her out. And girls, it's unlikely that he's in love with you before he asks you out, okay? So check yourself because there shouldn't be very strong feelings at date 1 or date 2 or date 3, okay? All right, I didn't know it does that. If having a type is holding us back in finding a good person, to hook up with, is it okay at least to have some basic characteristics that can make us decide if we want to go out with them or not? So I'm going to go back to this concept of deal breaker versus type, okay? I want him to be minimum 5'11", type. Shy away from that. I want him to be minimum Christian, deal breaker. Don't shy away from that, okay? So make sure whatever characteristics you have are rooted in morals and values and not superficial, okay? And make sure that they're not something that's malleable, right? He goes to X church. I can acknowledge now I was wrong about that, okay? That is not something that's rooted in morals and values because I'm sure that his church had the same morals and values as mine, as much as I argued that it didn't, okay? So make sure that whatever characteristics you're putting as a minimum are rooted in something real, not in superficial. And if you need somebody to help you check yourself, talk to somebody to help you check yourself. Because my wise counsel was the only way I checked myself about this Mississauga business, okay? Girls asking guys out doesn't rob them of the opportunity to lead at all. Guys struggle a lot approaching girls, and if a guy gets asked out, it saves a lot of time and effort. I know who's asking this question. Come and talk to me later. Guys appreciate girls that are confident and can make the first move, especially that they don't get that much appreciation in life. Once that happens, guys are able to lead in everything else afterwards. Come and talk to me after, habibi, okay? Because I know exactly who you are. I'm going to look up so I don't look at you, okay? I'm looking up, okay? I hear what you're saying. What the girl wants, I'm going to look at the girls. What the girls want to see from you is initiative, okay? And that even if your life is so hard, it's not that hard, even if your life is so hard, okay, that you are willing to do that and to put yourself out there and to make yourself vulnerable because you are able to do that in a relationship. If you can't show her that at the beginning of a relationship, why would she want to continue to have a relationship with you? If you can't show her that that's something that you're able and willing to do, okay? I hear what you're saying, that this is just like the beginning, and then after that initial hard hurdle, that you'll step up after that. Okay, sure. If you can find a way to convince her that you're worth the investment, sure. But I don't know how you're going to convince her if you're not going to do it first, habibi. Come and talk to me after, okay? Yes. What? Yeah. It's not him.
Thank you, Sarah. So a big thing that you mentioned, and I think it kind of relates to a couple of the questions that you asked, you're saying that like a lot of times guys are afraid to ask a girl out until they already like them. And I think there may be two reasons for that. One is because, well, like that's kind of what you did when you were a kid. You're like in high school is you wait till you have a crush on someone, and then after you have a crush on someone, you think about it for 3 months, and then you consider asking them out. So like, Yeah, it's the kind of holding on to that thing. But then the other thing is, you don't want to come off as superficial, as, oh, I'm just asking this girl out because she's pretty, or something like that, because come off as superficial, as creepy, as all of those things, which it kind of brings up a lot of the deal breakers and stuff that are mentioned.
So as a guy, there has to be some kind of initial attraction. So it's okay, you're not going to ask a girl who you have zero interest in. And so you're right. We probably overanalyzed it before when we were younger, and we're now telling you to underanalyze it. But I think as a guy, it's not creepy. There is some kind of initial attraction that has to be there. There has to be some kind of spark in order to ask this girl out, because you're not asking out every single person here. You're asking out one specific person. And so it's not, it is a different way of thinking, definitely, than prior, and that's okay.
And I would agree, like, I've never seen you before. I've never spoken to you before. Do you want to go out for coffee? Creepy, okay? But, I ran into you at the last, whatever, meeting, event, whatever. You had a conversation. It was intriguing, okay? I don't think it's unreasonable or creepy, but girls, correct me if I'm wrong, to say, hey, I really enjoyed our conversation. Do you want to continue it over coffee? See the segue there? See how smooth that is? I'm a great wingman, just so you guys know, okay? Like, as long as it's based on nothing, it's not unreasonable. You don't have to be in love, okay? But it is also, and I agree with you, creepy to not know anything about this person, never have spoken to this person, and want to ask them out because they're hot, right? That's unreasonable. But if there was some, like, precipitating event, likely a conversation, I don't think that that's unreasonable. Make sense?
There has to be some kind of, there has to be a reason why you want to see this person again. What we're saying is it doesn't have to be a huge reason. It's just, oh, I found them interesting. I, wouldn't mind talking to them more. That's it.
How to deal with rejection as a guy. Take it away, Rami.
Rejection for a guy or a girl is very difficult. And, all of us hate rejection. And part of it is every time we get rejected, we feel like, you have a vision of what you want to see in the future. And when you get rejected, you feel like that is a little bit farther away. And so I don't know. I'm not here to tell you, like, deal with rejection by doing X, Y, and Z. Just, we all are going to have a time where, we're going to get rejected. And it's okay to mope a little bit. And depending on how, what a little bit is,
Talk about that in the baggage and breakup.
Yeah, so that will come up. But, we're all going to deal with rejection. We've all been rejected. If you think that person X hasn't been rejected, you're wrong. And so take your time, and we'll talk about what that means. And then you just got to get up again and realize that at some point in time, there is a plan for you. It doesn't mean that it's always marriage, but there is a plan for you. And as long as you're going down in the direction where you're hoping God is taking you, that's okay. Sorry, that is not a good answer.
It's not, because there isn't really, like, a way to not be sad about it. Like, it sucks. Being rejected sucks. And I am going to say, guys, like, because of your role as leaders, you do have to put yourself out there more than girls do, and you are at a higher risk for that. Sucks. Sorry, bro. That's the game. I don't tell you. But, like, I can tell you that from a girl's perspective, a guy who acknowledges that and is willing to do, whatever he's called to do anyway, is something that's very admirable. But, like, does it suck? Yeah, it sucks. Sorry, man. Okay. If you find yourself in a conflict on deal breakers, how would you manage it? I would say that depends on how strongly you hold to your deal breaker, okay? So, like, I keep giving these superficial, examples, but not every deal breaker is as black and white as, like, loves God, doesn't love God, right? Like, a lot of them are a little bit more gray. But the question that I think you have to ask yourself is, if this never changes, can I live with it? Yes or no? If the answer is no, you're out.
Yeah, don't walk into a relationship saying, oh, I see this individual, has this, but I can change them. You have to accept that this may not change. And so is this something that you are okay with? And
Probably will never change, honestly.
Yeah. And so the deal breakers, again, is it a deal breaker or is it a preference? If it's a deal breaker, and it really is a deal breaker, even though they may have a lot of other qualities that are good, you probably have to move on.
I like this next one. Asking a girl out is something that we've been raised that this is wrong and it should be in a group setting. After a time, these thoughts become stronger to change. Is raising up youth with the thought that it's fine, or going on a group setting is what's the resolution? So I can tell you what my opinion is, okay? My opinion is the group stuff, okay, is where you like have your interest peaked, okay? But there's only so far that you can go in a group, right? There's only so much that you can get to know somebody in a group. So I would argue that you actually cannot have a reasonable relationship unless you spent some one-on-one time with this person. So my opinion is that you need to go out one-on-one. Take that with a grain of salt if you like, but I don't think that group dating is enough to sustain a relationship to the point of commitment. When wanting to ask a girl out from church, if her response is always go out as a group, is this more of the church stereotype, or is it that she's not
Interested, probably.
Interested. I think she's interested. She doesn't like you, bro. She's not interested. Bail. Next one. Okay? How do I grow patience for my partner? Do I always have to say what I want? You think it's do I always have to say what I want?
Those probably are two separate questions. In terms of growing patience for your partner, I guess you have to define what you're being patient about. Because if you're being patient about something that is driving you absolutely nuts, it's probably not the right approach to try to, sweep it under the rug.
Have you talked about it? Like, is your patience in that you're waiting for him to magically understand what it is, but you've never mentioned it? Careful.
Yeah, him or her are not going to figure it out. So, I don't think you should build patience. I think you should, identify it as a problem and sit down and discuss it and say, this is something that, irks me, or something that, is a problem, and I want to talk to you about it and understand why you do what you do, and maybe we can deal with it.
And I would also caution you guys, when you discuss or when you have arguments, to do it productively, okay? So don't come to the table, and if you're in a relationship with somebody, battle it out, and then walk away without a resolution, because that fight wasn't productive, okay? The point of having a fight, okay, is that you come out in a better place than where you started. That's how you fight productively. So if you have this conversation, okay, and you've come away with no take-homes, nothing changes, we all just had the opportunity to vent, this was absolutely useless and in no way beneficial to your relationship whatsoever. And if that's what you're being patient about, this is bad. You're not able to fight, you need to figure it out, okay? If you have committed to a resolution and this person is not upholding their end of the bargain, different story, right? If this person has committed to learning something, or they're going to try to do better at something, and they're not like the pro at it yet, but they're making small gains, I would encourage your patience, right? I think it depends on exactly what we're talking about here. There's many different angles to this one.
Maybe the question they're asking is, you have a partner and you guys are in a relationship, and maybe you're being patient about, taking it to the next step. And you're saying, how do I grow patience and wait for them? And I don't know if this might be the question. Again, I'm not.
And do I always have to say what I want? Like, I would say it once, twice, 3, 4 times. At that point, he should have written it down. What does DTR mean? DTR means define the relationship. So after date 5, okay, you can no longer claim that we're not dating. We're just going out on dates, okay? You have to figure out what you want. So DTR is define the relationship. Either yes, we are in a relationship, okay? Or I'm out. I'm not feeling this. But you have to pick one side or the other. DTR, define the relationship, okay?
Great question. Yes.
We say things like guys move at a slower pace, guys are scared of commitment, etc. But is that really true? If a guy is 27 to 28 and is serious about pursuing something serious, then why would they be scared of commitment? They would only be scared of commitment if it was the wrong place, wrong time, or wrong girl. That's it. Like, I don't think that guys are wired to be afraid of commitment, but guys are afraid of committing to the wrong thing. So if he's afraid of committing to you, you're either the wrong girl for him, sorry, he don't like you, or this is the wrong time in his life, or he's in the wrong place in his life. They're not hardwired to be afraid of commitment. Yeah, okay. There's a lot of questions. Okay, let me scan and see if there's anything that's like, can you zoom in? Love that one. Your partner's all for it. Should you both break up, since that would be a deal breaker for him? That's a pretty big marriage deal breaker. If you don't know if you want to have kids, but your partner definitely wants to have kids, I'd figure that out before you commit, for sure. What does a man being the leader actually look like? How, as a woman, does one evaluate this? I have a whole talk on this. I will send you the link. If a partner asks for space, what does that mean? It means they're breaking up with you, they don't like you, bail. If a deal breaker is manageable, how much time and effort is it worth working on before moving on? It's not a deal breaker if it's manageable, right? So check your definitions. If it's manageable, then that means it's a type thing and it might be based on superficial. If it's a deal breaker, it's unmanageable. You cannot live with it if it never changes.
And I would caution you of saying that how much time is it worth working on before moving on? Working on means changing. So what this person is saying is that how much time do I spend changing this individual that's in front of me to be, the person that I foresee them being. And so again, most likely, whatever big thing is not going to change, and that either you're going to be okay with it or not. If they tell you that they're going to change, they may not in the future. You have to be sure that that's what it is. So if it's a deal breaker, don't work too hard about changing it, because if it's a big thing, it may not change ever.
What if you ask a girl out and she says she wants to meet in a group? She doesn't want to hang out with you, bail. What are some ways you can manage communication breakdowns between partners? Tune in November 2nd. We have a whole talk on communication. How do you rebuild a lost trust or lost sense of credibility with a partner? Come over. We got to talk about that one in detail. Come over. I have great snacks. I feel
Definitely can. It's not like you can't. You definitely can, because everyone makes mistakes, but it does take work.
I feel like saying things like guys are scared of commitment is a self-fulfilling prophecy and can sound like making excuses. Absolutely, because guys aren't scared of the concept of commitment. They're scared of committing to the wrong girl, wrong place, wrong time. Is that everything? Whew, we flew through that. All right. Okay, so we are over time. I'm sorry. We do have the rest of the sessions, but I'll just tell them one by one. So I just want to, these sessions tend to go over time all the time. I don't think I've ever done a 6-week series where any session has finished on time. So I apologize for that in advance. I also want to throw out there that if it's too late and you need to get up and leave, nobody's going to be offended, because we do appreciate that we're talking too much. So please feel free if you need to go and we're running over time, totally fine. So this is a 6-week block, hashtag relationship goals. Next week, we're going to talk about conflict resolution, okay? The week after that is communication. So someone asked a question up there about communication. Stay tuned, November 2nd. And then we're going to talk about boundaries. I can tell you that my hopes for the boundaries talk is very practical. Do this, do not do this. Okay? And then coping, breakups and baggage. So we kind of strategically put that one towards the end of the series, because if you learn all this stuff and you realize you're in a relationship that you need to get out of, we want to help you get out of it, okay? 100% success rate this service. And then the last one is we're hoping to have a panel up here to talk about special circumstances. So we had a lot of requests for things like long distance dating, COVID dating, like what's up with that, right? So we're going to have a panel up here with people that have been through a million different circumstances. And then we're going to have a little bit of an organized time in the beginning for specific questions that we received. And then we're going to kind of open it up to everybody. I am going to say that the relationship goals email is always active. So relationshipgoals@smsv.ca. If you have any questions or anything that you want us to incorporate into an upcoming talk, this is a very dynamic series. We change it on the fly all the time. So please send it in. My cell phone number is also widely accessible to anybody who asks for it. Come over. We'll chat, talk about it. Love talking about relationships. So come over, all right? Oh, wow. Stephen is saying get out. Time to go. 10 p.m. All right.
First, I'd like to thank the speakers, Sarah and Rami. So give a round of applause. Thank you so much. This is actually one of my favorite reoccurring series that comes in once in a while. And of course, they just mentioned our next week is conflict resolution, same time. 8 o'clock is going to be fellowship. 8:30 is going to be the actual talk. And I also welcome everybody to just stand up for a quick prayer, and then we'll have some social time. And there's definitely extra pizzas at the back there as well.
Not every single week is us talking, so you will not get bored of us. There will be more exciting people.
Most of them are not.
Yes. Would anyone like to lead us in prayer? Okay, so in the name of the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Thank you, God, so much for gathering us here today, especially during these times. And thank you so much for the speakers and for this blessed talk. as well, and help us to fill our hearts with joy that it overflows. Amen. Here's when we pray with all thanksgiving. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil one. In Christ Jesus our Lord, for thine is the kingdom, the power, the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Thank you.